Hi everybody, Tristan Gardner here. Today I am going to show you something really special. You want to know what this is? This is a bread maker. This is a handy little appliance that could very well revolutionize the idea of making homemade bread. Of course, that was back in 1986 when the first bread maker was released by Panasonic, which was formerly known as Matsushita Electric Industrial Company. As you know, this is the HB-B301 model, and it has the Breadmaster emblem on it. This bread maker looks exactly like the model my grandmother and grandfather Menninga used to have. And I'm going to show you how to use it and make good homemade bread. And there are many recipes in this cookbook, and I'm going to show you how to make one of them. Okay, so now I've taken the bread pan out, and I've inserted the kneading blade, and now I'm going to start adding the ingredients. I think I'm going to make a medium-sized loaf of bread today, so I'm going to start with 3/8 of a cup of lukewarm water. It has to be at room temperature. Next, we'll add 3/8 of a cup of milk. The next ingredient is flour, and I'm going to add 2 cups of it. But since I don't have any bread flour, I use all-purpose flour, which will work just as well. The flour is what gives the bread the structure. 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 tablespoons of sugar, one tablespoon of butter, and last but not least is the yeast, 1 teaspoon of it. This is the most important ingredient in bread making. This is what helps cause the bread to rise. Now we're ready to put the pan into the bread maker. It's important to put it in the pan maker and make sure that you hear it, and you hear it securely fastened. You have to hear it make that noise. Now we'll close the lid, and we'll start her up. Now what you're hearing is the bread maker making small and quick whoa, 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 whoa sounds. And it'll be doing it for 60 seconds on the first part of the cycle. And we'll see what it's doing. It's mixing the ingredients together for its pre-kneading cycle, which we'll see what happens. Now it's starting the cycle. Now what's going to happen is that the bread maker will pause every few seconds and then go back into kneading. See that? The bread maker is pre-kneading the dough. And now it's going counterclockwise. And then it's going to pause again and go in a clockwise direction again. See, the bread maker does all the heavy lifting, so you don't have to. Okay, the bread maker has just decided to finish pre-kneading, which is step 1, by the way, and the bread maker will be taking a rest for about 5 minutes. So we'll see what happens when we go into the actual knead. Alright, we are now going into the real kneading cycle, but this time the ventilator will be kicking on. But we are far from ready to bake the bread. The knead, by the way, is step number 3 in the bread making cycle. And it'll keep doing this for the next several minutes, approximately 18 to 24 minutes. Basically, it's the same thing as the pre-kneading process, but with the ventilator kicked on. And this will continue, like I said, for the next 18 to 24 minutes. As you can see, the bread maker will switch between going clockwise and counterclockwise every few seconds. And then eventually the machine will stop rotating directions and then just go in one direction altogether to finish kneading the dough. After the bread maker finishes the kneading cycle, it will go into the first rise, and the ventilator will turn off. So at this point, the ball of dough that you see in the bread maker will just sit and arrange itself to be in the shape of a future loaf of bread. But that's only the first rise. As you know, we're getting into the second rise, and the bread maker is squeezing the air out of the mixture. That lasted for 23 seconds, and now we are in the second rise. And that will last for approximately 70 minutes before we get into the baking process. I neglected to mention that, like the first rise, the second rise also makes the bread mixture rise. But with the second rise, after the gas is squeezed out of the mixture, it'll make the bread a little bit more fluffy. Okay, the pointer has just gone from second rise into the baking process, and in a minute, the ventilator will turn on, and the bread will bake. And there goes the ventilator. I can feel the warm air already coming out. And as the bread bakes, the dough will turn into a brown color. Looks like I'll end up with a smaller loaf of bread than normal, but this is my first time using this bread maker. But, as they say, use trial and error. Well, it's been a short amount of time already since the bread maker started baking the bread, and boy, it's starting to turn brown already. I can't get enough of that delicious smell. I can't wait to see how it turns out. Alright, the bread maker has just moved from the word bake, and now the word finish is flashing across the screen. So in about 21 minutes, we will have a freshly baked loaf of bread. And at that point, the bread maker will cool down slightly, but the bread maker itself and the pan will be very, very hot when the bread maker finishes baking. All right, the bread maker just finished baking the bread, and we are about ready to remove it from the oven. Now, as you can hear, the bread maker will struggle to keep turning on and off, but that is a normal function, because the ventilator will keep the bread warm for the first half hour after it is finished. So, I will go ahead and unplug the machine and turn this thing off. And there you have it, a delicious homemade loaf of bread. White bread to be precise. I'm Tristan Gardner. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Those clocks always seem to, make things exciting. And there goes another one. And another one. Playing follow the leader clock? Not the right end of cycle signal clock. Sorry, thanks for playing. And the clock wants to get in on the action too. Now it's the other clock's turn to play follow the leader. Okay. Here we go again. That clock is driving me cuckoo crazy.